that it was 80, not 80s. Let's just, but maybe so. You can go another 80. I just want to say that we sure had fun in high school, and I can just kind of look back and remember going for most of the first part of my high school years and carrying your books sometimes and even doing a little homework, so I hope you passed. And anyway, just have a wonderful, happy 80th.
And
We
at
love
that,
you.
and at that time, I was able to meet you right after I met my wife. I don't think we were even married when we first met. But you and Ann, and I forget some of the names, but you guys were all great. And thank God I married her. And we still get to see you. And all your friends are still going along fine. And thank you very much for coming on my age. I really enjoyed it. Thank you again. And good luck.
Here's Diane. That she was you came to Don's 80th, and Diane and her husband,
We want to say
Robert.
happy birthday. We hope to see you down here soon.
It was wonderful meeting you at Dad's birthday, 80th birthday, and we wish you all the best and healthy living as the Quinlans are enjoying.
And come on down and see your son. And see us too. And bring your friends.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Good afternoon, young man. Could you please state your name?
Paul McNellis.
And Mr. McNellis, what are you doing here today?
I'm here to say happy birthday to Mrs. Roper on her 80th birthday.
Is that Mrs. Roper a resident of Maryland?
That is Bethesda, Maryland, where I was born and raised.
Terrific. And how old is Mrs. Roper today?
She is a lovely 80 years old.
That's fantastic. Now, is this considered a video birthday card?
This is considered a video birthday card. Due to circumstances beyond my control with work, unfortunately, I won't be able to make it, Mrs.
So, Mr. McNellis, did you send a video birthday card to Mrs. Roper on her 79th birthday?
No, I've never sent a video birthday card to anybody on any of their birthdays. This is a new experience for me, and I hope she enjoys it thoroughly.
Okay, so do you remember the last time that you saw Mrs. Roper?
I certainly do. It was right the day before she left to go back to Maryland.
And where did you happen to see her?
In a Chinese restaurant, as a matter of fact, with her son Stan.
Terrific. Would that be Stanley Roper, who lives in Florida?
That would be Stanley Roper, the director of food and beverage at the Hilton Hotel, who's working too hard in Florida.
Now, if you were to turn around right now, would Mrs. Roper be able to see Stanley Roper in the room where she is?
She certainly would.
That's terrific. Now, if she were to turn around and hold her breath and make a wish, would she see you walk through the door right now?
Of course she would. That would be a tremendous thing. But it's not going to happen this year.
Okay, that's terrific. So can you assure Mrs. Roper that you made sure that Stanley got to the auto train safely and made it on his trip?
He certainly did, because he's bringing this video to her. You wouldn't be seeing me if he didn't make it to the auto train.
That's terrific. Now, I'm not going to ask you to bring up one of your favorite memories or experiences of Mrs. Roper, but as a child, did she ever discipline you?
No, she never needed to discipline me, or Stan for that matter. We were great kids. I think she will attest to that fact. More so than discipline, we had many a meal and many a good times together at numerous sporting events. I just feel a little embarrassed about how I would always get sick every time Stan and I and Mrs. Roper went out to eat or to go to one of the sporting events.
Are you feeling okay now, Mr. McNeilis?
I'm feeling fantastic.
Right. And for those of you that are watching this video, please don't adjust your color. He did turn a little red there when remembering his childhood moments with not being disciplined. We'll have to check into that later. Now, when you last saw Mrs. Roper, did she ask you if you were coming to her 80th birthday party?
I'm not sure if she asked me. No, because this should be a complete surprise to her.
That's fantastic. Okay, so what would you wish for her today on her 80th birthday that she would have fun doing?
I would wish for her a very, very happy 80th birthday, many more to come, and to let her know that she's raised a tremendous son. That's probably one of the best things that she's done in her 80 years of living, is have raise a true friend and a good son in Stan Roper.
That's fantastic. Now, lastly, Mr. McNeilis, if you were to bake Mrs. Roper a cake today and have Stanley give it to her, what kind of cake would you bake her?
Oh, that's a tough question. But if I'm not mistaken, I would probably have her bake the same cake that you and I and Stanley ate on his birthday, a German chocolate cake.
Now, that would be a very large, tall, deep chocolate German chocolate cake, correct?
That it would.
That's fantastic. Okay, well, any last comments that you'd like to share with Mrs. Roper about anything that Stanley's doing here in Florida that she's not aware of?
Oh, well, Stanley's, of course, not doing anything that she's not aware of. But I would like to wish Mrs. Roper an extremely happy 80th birthday. And I wish that I could be there to celebrate and to share in the festivities that are being held. And I want to thank her for everything that she's done for me throughout the years, which for me would be, about 41 of my 49, no, I'd say about 43 of my 49 years. She has been there as a second mother to me, and I hope she's there as long as I can remember.
Mr. McNeilis, I was going to end the video, but on the video release form that you gave us, you said you were 34 years old. Did you just say you were 49?
Cut. Now, you can edit some of this.
Since I asked you, my apologies. It is Mrs. Roper's birthday.
And who are you?
I'm Earl Zebarth, and no one in that room knows me except Mrs. Roper and Stanley if he decided to come to the party too.
And how did you first meet Mrs. Roper?
I first met Mrs. Roper because I was assisting her in the purchase of a home and identifying a place that she might like to live on the weekends in Florida.
Did you meet her before you met her son, or did you meet her son first?
Actually, I had the honor of meeting her son first through DeLand Little League, which was a program, a baseball program that we have in DeLand. And I have a question for you. Why is the camera over there, and is your arm that long that you're sitting over here? Okay, go ahead.
Amazing how the technology works these days.
Yes, it is. You're throwing your voice, but you're really behind the camera.
And is it true that you actually worked in the State House in Tallahassee?
No, I worked in Mrs. Roper's house. I walked in there one day and saw her on a ladder painting the house at like 10 o'clock at night because I had gotten a phone call that the lights were still on in the neighborhood. She worked there all the time. She completely retiled the house, reshingled the roof by herself. She resodded the yard by hand and retiled the pool.
And this was how long ago?
This was a few weeks ago. I don't remember, but I think it was a few weeks ago.
An 80-year-old woman doing this kind of work. Well, amazing, isn't it?
She was in her late 70s. She wasn't 80 until today, or the day that they're watching this video.
Did you change your glasses?
Yes, I did. I felt a little blue and white because I was celebrating her birthday. I'm hoping the candles on her birthday cake are actually blue and white.
And when was the last time you saw Mrs. Roper?
I saw Mrs. Roper in her absolutely stunning condominium in Winter Park a few weeks ago when we were celebrating her son Stanley's birthday. In fact, I think, Paul, you were there, if I'm not mistaken.
I certainly was there, and it was a wonderful and joyous occasion, wasn't it?
Yes, and in fact, she is one of all the people I've ever met from Maryland, she is the most amazing, extraordinary cook. There were hors d'oeuvres there that I had never tasted prior in my life, nor have tasted since, that were outstanding.
Well, we probably will get a chance to taste them again on Stanley's next birthday, but this is not about Stanley, this is about Mrs. Roper.
Right, but the sad thing is that we're here in Florida while they're up there with Mrs. Roper enjoying those hors d'oeuvres.
It is a sad thing. And what would you like to say to Mrs. Roper here today on her 80th birthday?
First of all, I would like to say, Mrs. Roper, that I miss you very much, and I hope you come back to Florida as soon as you can, because we still want to go to, I heard that you went to a Chinese buffet with Paul and Stanley, and I didn't get a chance to go with you, so I wanted to go the next time you come back. And I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and hope that you give advice to those people like Paul and I and Stanley from your years of experience on what we could do in the future to have as wonderful a life as you have. And if you do have that deep chocolate, German chocolate cake, would you please send a piece back with Stanley so that we can enjoy some as well? And I do need to apologize because, as you can see, I run a sweatshop. We have a T-shirt factory here that we do for our, we don't produce the shirts here, but we actually dry them out when they've been rained on in a Friday night football game. So, anyway, that's what I'd like to tell Mrs. Roper.
Did she ever attend any of the DeLand High School games with you all?
No, she did not, but we expect her to, on her next trip, be able to attend some sporting events with us when she comes down. So the answer to that question would be no. She did not attend any events. Do I get 10 points for that? Okay.
15.
All right. Very good. So y'all have a wonderful time, and there's a very special video coming up next of some individuals that absolutely adore Mrs. Roper as much as we do, and I hope you enjoy it.
We may